Welcome to Spirit Baby Radio. I am Kelly Meehan, Spirit Baby Medium, Medical Intuitive, and we are at episode 136, April 2022. And I have a special connection here in this Spirit Baby Radio podcast. You get to see it, or you can see it on YouTube visually, or you can hear it on podcasts. And sometimes I do these different connections with other people. So I have special guests. And these are real stories and experiences with Spirit Baby communication, conversations of the heart. Are you ready to tune into real experiences and conversations? And what next serves you on the path towards Spirit Baby connections? And this, as I said, I feel like I've shared this before many months ago, where I have having people come on and just have conversations about their connection, whether in conception, pregnancy, and birth loss. And we're going to look at different things. And I don't like to give trigger warnings. I know people say that, but this is a pretty much there's a story of loss here. And I think it's important that we build that connection and communication in it. And we're going to talk more about that. And so I would like my couple guests here to introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm I'm Andrea Ramirez Cuate. I'm from Mexico. I'm 33 years old, and well, he's my husband.
Hi, I'm Jose
Hi.
Lamadrid. I'm also from Mexico. I'm 37 years old.
Well, thanks for sharing your age. That was up to you.
I don't know.
Oh, hello.
You're like
It's like
so
all
young, so young. And it was really wonderful. And I want to just talk for a moment on how we met. I love this magical energy of how we met, right? We don't believe in accidents and coincidences, I should say, synchronicities. And I have the Afterlife of Spirit Baby Facebook group, and Andrea, we posted, I don't know what it was, you posted about collecting stories, which is still really important for your mission, collecting stories of spirit communication, or I like to call the children of light, sons and daughters that are not earthside, to bridge that, the real felt sense experience of communication that people have in different ways, and to build from there in life. And so we next thing I know, I was like, it was just your energy. Something was calling me, and I was like, I know it sounds so mystical, like who's calling my energy? But I feel like I'm very instinctual, and there's a lot of people that kind of connect with me, and there was just something different. And I was like, oh, and the next thing I know, we're like looking at each other on the WhatsApp and what's happened? Okay, we're moving. And it was just so beautiful. Your energy was so wonderful to connect with, and to connect with your son, and so much more, right, has unfolded in that. And so I always feel like I like to give a background of like, how do I meet these people, what is this about? And I've never, met your partner, but now, so awesomely both showing up to just really begin to just share the conception connection, and what that was like, even from earth realms, but also spiritually, like what is this connection with you and your child, and share, share whatever you feel, feels good. But of course, I want to hear about your son as well.
yeah, sure. So, from where do we start? Well, honestly, before losing, well, I don't like to say losing because I know we didn't lose him, but before he moved to the next step of his life, um, I honestly didn't know too much about conception, or like, I mean, I knew about energy. I always believe in energy, and that there is like a connection, or like there is something in there, but I never thought about I could connect with him, like even before getting pregnant. Um, our story is, we got pregnant really, we were lucky. We didn't have any struggle. We got pregnant really fast and a natural way. Um, and I don't know, from the beginning of the pregnancy, everything was so confused, and the appointments, and you kind of like just focus on how to keep the baby safe and to bring it to earthside. But you are not really aware that there is an energy growing on inside
Mm.
you, that there is a human being that is going to be independent. I mean, you kind of know it, but you don't realize it very well. I don't know if it's strange to how I'm explaining it, but everything was going well with the pregnancy, baby growing, everything getting ready for welcome him here to our home. And then suddenly I had a minor, I mean, you could say it was like I don't believe in accidents after this. I think his mission was to be here only for that short period of time, because I got diagnosed with hypertension, and then, but everyone was so I don't want to say excited. How do you say? Like they were
Chill.
chill about it, because
Not worry about it.
no worry about it. They were saying like, oh, a lot of pregnant women have this and they
It's true, yeah.
term, so we don't have to worry about it. So 2 weeks after I got that diagnosed, on a Saturday morning, I remember I did a meditation, because I was doing meditations for my breathing and just to calm down, because I was already 30 weeks in pregnancy. And then I did this meditation where there's like this lady was talking about that sometimes when a baby doesn't come to full term, or maybe it died very little, they can come even in a next pregnancy. So I don't know, I really don't know why, but that was for me really beautiful, and I found it like, oh, this is profound, this is something nice. And I came out of the bedroom and I told Jose, look, I just did the meditation and this lady is saying this message. I found it beautiful. And then at night, after dinner, I kind of knew Eric's movements, and I noticed that something was off. He wasn't moving that like the way he used to move. So I did like in 30 minutes everything that they say that you should do. I drink a lot of juice, sugar, move the belly, so nothing. So I really start to freak out, and I told Jose, we need to go to a hospital. But my mind was trying to tell me like, okay, calm down, everything is going to be okay. As soon as they put the Doppler on, you're gonna be okay. And well, that didn't happen. When we got there at the hospital, the nurses couldn't find the heartbeat. So they had to call the OB that was there. She told us that there was like a heartbeat, but it was really, really slow. So they have to do an emergency C-section in order for the baby to be able to survive. It was a really shock for us. We have to leave. I have to left my husband there. They rushed me to the ER, and the next thing I know is that I woke up and they told me that the baby couldn't make it. So, I mean, it was a shock. It was really, really sad. The fact that I'm able here to speak about it without breaking down, is truly because of him. It's truly because he gave me, and I think he gave us, both of us, the strength to accept, because it's not easy to accept that. You as a human being, you pass for all the emotions. You pass to angry, you feel betrayed, you feel the universe, God, whatever are your beliefs, fail you. You feel, as a woman, I felt I failed. I felt my body failed me. I couldn't keep my baby safe.
Mm.
Uh, as a mom, I felt really, really bad. I felt like, what? Like, how my baby was supposed to be here? I know the other way. I was supposed to live before them, not the other
Mm.
way around.
Mhm.
So, and especially like the shock, obviously, like it's so little. It's where is he? Where has he gone? Like I'm with my baby. How am I going to be able to protect him? If and I think when I woke up and then I saw this little face and everything, he was so peaceful. He was so beautiful. I don't know. I felt like an energy, like
Mhm.
this instant love. Like it was so huge. And I just remembered that at some point I called one of my best friends in Mexico because I know she's a huge believer in the energy and
Mhm.
Buddhism, and she's like, and I needed that. So
Mhm.
I called her and told her, this has happened. I'm so angry at life. I don't want to know. I don't want to leave. I don't, because yeah, those thoughts come to your mind. And she was so beautiful. I remember the message she told me after. It was like, okay, I don't know why, but I will follow your message. I will give Eric all the love that I have. Only these 3 days that I will be with him, and then I'll have to say goodbye. And that's what we did. So we cuddle him, we stay with him, we we talk to him. I mean, you are in shock. So
Mhm.
after that, I kind of like regret that I didn't do more, but
Mm.
I didn't know what to do. uh, you are like in this, you see the baby, but the baby is not breathing, the baby is not crying, so it's like, but you can, I mean, your heart and your mind imagine
Mhm.
that is doing that. So
Well,
it's
yeah. I don't want to cut you off. I want to like thank you for sharing all that. I know that's, it's beyond difficult. And yeah, I
yeah,
was really tuning into your energy, watching when you're going into the story, because I'm like asking you to relive this experience a bit. But I know as you're both evolving, right, into your own spiritual, inner codes and things are changing, the story kind of changes, right? It's almost like the energy of, of course, the traumas do minimize with
mhm,
work. The traumas just don't, people think, oh, traumas just go away. Doesn't work that way. But with the deeper work, and even what you said earlier, I feel like people get what you're saying in this space where you're talking about that connection of your child, this energy, and going into the curiosity of like, what is this being? And they're part of you, but they're separate. And I feel like that's just deep, like spiritual, like journeying, right?
mhm,
Looking at our own inner story, because it's literally happening inside your body and you're just kind of in this mystery. And then of course we do get fears during pregnancy, like what if, what if, what if, right? And then all of a sudden that what if, and it, for you, it's like, I feel like when you share, you're like asleep and you wake up kind of, and then they're like, your baby's not here, must have been so surreal. Like, am I in a dream? Is this even happening? Is this what, especially coming from that place and you're literally, we're just pregnant, and not to like relive the story because I'm starting to feel your story in my own body. So,
mhm,
but of course there are layers and levels to the story, and yet you go, okay, we can't reverse time. We can't change what happened, but what we can do is what you've been doing, I know, is working with your really the love around the grief, the acceptance of your own self and who you are in this lifetime, both together, right? And then you're like, moving into communication. I want to hear
mhm,
um about that, how that's been, and like, what are you feeling? And I know like some people be like, well, what are you talking about? Or not my community, but most people are like, what does this mean? What is this kind of psychic space? Or we can even call it a natural, instinctual, spiritual space. We don't have to I feel like it's like a natural, this is where I really like to step into that energy, right? Is the afterlife of spirit baby, is it's an instinctual connection that both parents have with their child on that soul level, but it's different too. You're both going to have different connections and experiences, right?
Right. Yeah, I think I'm gonna let Jose speak this one because this one is really beautiful sign that we got from him.
Mm.
I'm just gonna do a little brief. After Bianca, my friend, that's her name. After Bianca told me that message, we started going to meditation. That's how we feel because we grieve differently. So he was more the quiet one, the strong one. And I mean, I think he had to do it because I was in such a really dark place and such a mess. So he got I think you got the first sign from him when I was crying and I was looking at all their clothes. Can you hold on for a minute, please? No, sorry. So, and then you can tell it. I'm gonna let you tell it.
Okay, but I don't know what you mean exactly.
The one that you got, the I love you to the moon and back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. Okay. Yeah, I my experience, it's as Andrea mentioned, it's a little different, but at the same time you can even think it or say it's not that different, but it's for sure from a different perspective. And similarly to her, I also have some beliefs before, I'm gonna say before and after what happened with our son. I believe in God, in angels, in heaven, in souls, but honestly, it was like superficial, I'm gonna say superficial beliefs, where that's what you are taught, and then you trust and you believe, but things change a little bit or big, not a little bit, things change a lot when you actually experience that in a more conscious way. Because I now I'm sure that I have experienced that before in other lives, but I just didn't remember until recent times. So yeah, sometimes I feel like I get words that I cannot explain. I see things that I believe, but if I try to explain them, it's like, I don't know, I just knew that I had to say that, or I had to trust. For example, I knew for a fact that Eric was okay, that even though it was extremely painful not having him here on earth after what Andrea just described, he was fine. He was going to do something bigger that we were not able to explain at that moment. I'm not even able to explain it in human words, but I do know that he's somewhere, he's doing okay, and he's doing great things. And for some reason, for many reasons, I truly believe that he's where he's helping us achieving things.
Yeah.
And well, of course, we as humans are working on our side, but I don't know, I feel like human work is one thing, but when you get that extra help, you see those results. And the story that Andrea is mentioning is well, when we were at the hospital, we didn't have anything with us because we were supposed to go for a normal checkup to see that everything was all right, and then that didn't happen. So the nurses told me, like, if you want to go home and grab anything, like, just do it, because also on top of all the shocks and all the horriness, there's COVID. So they told me, if you leave the hospital, you're not going to be able to come back. So you better go right now. And then I'm going to ask the security people. I'm going to tell them that you were already here. So you have to go back. You have to come back in less than 1 hour, because the new people is going to come, and then they're not going to know. So they're not going to let you come. Right. So I rushed home, and then I start looking at stuff, all of the things that we had ready for our son, and then I just collapsed. I was crying so bad, and we have a dog. She's super friendly. She's a really great dog, but she's
not the cuddle one.
Yeah, she doesn't like to cuddle.
Okay.
She's like, she likes everything on her own terms. Like, you want to pet her, she's like, not today. Right? So at that moment, I don't know, it's like if some bigger power told her, like, you need to go to that room and you have to take care of that guy. So she did that. She was with me for a while until I like calmed down. I picked some stuff. I pulled my things together. And my instinct was to just put everything inside a closet, because my human part said, like, if I collapse, I can only imagine what's going to happen to Andrea when she comes back home. So I just put everything away. Days forward, so fast forward a few days, Andrea took the courage to arrange or to move things. Like, she said, like, we're gonna keep all of the clothes that we have for our son, but I'm gonna put them in storage. So she starts, and she's looking at things and crying and having a hard time, of course. And then I saw she was struggling, and I was like, you have to take a pause. Take a pause. We can finish this later. No worries. She didn't want to, but at the end, she's like, okay, I'm gonna take a pause. She goes away, and then I start, like, not helping, but doing it myself. And then I found a onesie, and I don't know, I just saw it, and I immediately think this is something that I have to give to Andrea. And then for some reason, my thoughts were like, have this, and this is something that you need to hear. And the onesie said, I love you to the moon and stars.
To the moon and back.
To the moon and back. Sorry, to the moon and back.
To the moon and back.
Both sound great. Yeah.
And then,
yeah. And I mean, on top of that, that's the same
book
title as a book that we had received as a gift for our son.
So we were reading that book. Oh, sorry. Yes, but this is even bigger, because if you start connecting the onesie, the book, and then it's the message plus this onesie and this book are bears, like brown bears. The story revolves around bears. When we were at the hospital, one of the things they told us is, like, you have to pick an urn for your son.
So I was looking at this huge catalog of things, and I don't know why, the only one that like really grabbed my attention was a bear.
Mm.
And then when I told Andrea, like, we need to pick one, and she's like browsing, it's like, yeah, the bear. It's like we
It's
didn't
like we can even
talk about it, and
No.
the both of us picked the bear.
Yeah.
And then we come back home and that happens. It's like, wow, this is not a coincidence for sure.
Yeah, I think Eric at some level he was telling us like, okay, pick this one because it's going to be something that you are going to relate a lot. And for me, it's like every time that I see a bear, it's him. I mean, it's him telling me something, because like Jose mentioned, they're not gonna come to you and they're gonna tell you, hey, look at that sign, or look at this, or it doesn't. I don't think it works that way. It's just like the energy blends to your energy. That's how I feel it, and that's how you, like, at some point, like, maybe start doing something. I don't know why, but I told Jose I want to read him. I want to read this story tell at night, because this is beautiful. We didn't buy the onesie. We didn't buy the book. It's not like we have that in mind. Those were presents from different friends.
That's fascinating. Yeah.
So
like, you're like, what's the chances of getting all the same thing from different
Exactly.
people? It is, and so I want to kind of put a spotlight on that, because I like what you just said. It's like it's blended.
Yeah.
That's what happens with communication with children. I feel like in Light Body is that it becomes blended, and it becomes, like we've seen with other moms, right, in the group. It's the relationship, it's back and forth. And sometimes it is in your face. Sometimes you may feel like, whoa, like here it is. Like, you see, even as you're both talking, I could feel his spirit come through really strong. Especially when Dad was talking, I was like, oh my gosh, he's like here, and he has so much to say to you, I guess. And I'm like hearing it, and you're kind of sharing that story. But I'm gonna have to go into that a little bit with his energy. Are both your parents here, or no? Are they passed on? They're both here, because I feel like Eric's with a male energy, maybe a grandfather. I don't know if that's come up before, but he shows me like almost like a cross necklace, but I almost feel like it's Dad's necklace. I don't know if you have a necklace that's like that, and it's okay if you don't, but there's almost like, I feel like he's really, the crying like comes up, like he was with you when you were in that sobbing place, and it's very clear. He was like, I know my dad really needs me and wants me. Like, there's such a strong, and I don't say that to like upset you, but it just felt like, oh my gosh, his energy was so strong when you're sharing this story of connection. And that, yet again, I feel like we have to move into that space of trust, of like, constantly, and after a time, it will be matter of fact, right? In the beginning, it's like you're kind of, there's such a vulnerability and and grief, and your world has been shattered. Excuse me. And then, this spiritual kind of up leveling happens naturally, and then you get to be with it, or you actually get to be in a dark shadow space of grief. I feel like we have choices, and people go into depression and anxiety. I feel like those are opportunities to move into the profoundness of that connection. It doesn't take your sadness away. It does change and shift you, as Andrea, you've been seeing the shifting happening, and there's more to come. You're going to feel more stuff changing. And then your voice as an advocate, I feel like, for the community to say, hey, this is real life here. There's connection. And sharing that on a larger level is even probably part of the mission as well, right? We could talk about the mission. But so now, you're in a space of, where are you at now? What's your communication like? Because now you're holding future energy, right? It's like, what's that communication like now in this space of going, okay, we're ready to move into that next level of other children even? Can I just like throw it out there?
Sure. I think it changed a lot. You know that they say that you have free will, and you have to. I believe that you have a will to do here on earth. but you also have a lot of guidance.
Mm.
So a lot of guidance from out there. So I felt like he was telling us like all the way around, like the next step. Okay, now it's time to move. So even though I was like something like, no, dude,
Mm.
I'm not feeling okay. Like, you know what? This is too much. I just want to stay in bed and
Mm.
I want to cry for you. And he was like, no, no. And I kept receiving signs, or sometimes even like thoughts, like, I don't know, I could feel like, Mom, come on, it's time to move. It's time to do this. The first one that I got from him in regarding about the next siblings for him was that I remember that I was looking that meditation from that Saturday that I did. After a couple of weeks, I remember doing that meditation and I remember the message. And of course, you are in that dark place that you just want your baby to come back.
Mm-hmm.
It is. I mean, it's as crazy as it sounds. I just wanted him to come back. I mean, I remember when I was in the hospital, I asked everyone around if I could get pregnant again because I just want Eric to come back. And after the shock happened and we start doing the spiritual work and working on ourselves. And I think that's what they want us to do, like work on ourselves. They are going to be around to help us, but the work is on us to do it. And when I was looking for that meditation, I never found that meditation. I never found it. I was looking at YouTube. I was every day looking at that meditation because I wanted to connect with his soul, and I want him to come back. I was obsessed. I had to say it. I was obsessed. And then when we did a meditation for him, 21 days. And the 21 day, it was going to be like his graduation. He was going to go to the next level. He was going to be like even brighter than he was already at that point. So the day before we ended up the meditations, I suddenly found that meditation and I was like, okay, I'll do it. I didn't even remember the lady or whatever. I just started listening to it and I was like, okay, this is the meditation. I found it. And then this meditation goes on and on and on. And the lady says, okay, now you will see these scissors around next to you. And there is something there is like a
cord,
that is attached to the soul of your baby. You have to cut that cord and say goodbye. And I start crying because I was like, no, this is not going to happen, dude. I'm not ready to say goodbye. This is not going to happen. So I was so stubborn and I was crying and I got upset and I was like, no. Jose came to me and I was like, what happened? I explained to him. And then I look at the calendar and the 21 day was the day after. It was on a Saturday again. So it was like, okay, I know, I understand, I know what you're trying to say. I'll do it, but tomorrow with your dad, because I'm not gonna do it alone. I'm not gonna do it alone. I'm not ready to do this. And yeah, we did it the next Saturday. It was really beautiful. It was beautiful, but at the same time it was sad. And you feel like, I felt like for a moment that he was not around here anymore. But he appeared after we have this communication with him, like we have a candle, we light up a candle. So every time that the flame moves a little bit without anything that can move the flame, we know it's here, it's him, it's his energy, he's
Mm,
coming.
mhm.
So that's how we knew he was around again. And then with this, there were signs about siblings. There were signs about like there is something else coming up, so you have to be ready. You have to prepare for this. And there is one in particular that he introduced me to Fiona, that is in the group, and Fiona sent me a message. Really beautiful. That she said that she was sure Eric was going to send his rainbow sibling soon to us. And I was like, okay, that's very strange to say from a lady that doesn't know me. But okay, I'll trust. I'll trust, and I'll go with that. And then she introduced me to this other group where I met other moms, the Facebook group, and then I met you. So it was like, okay, I'm not doing anything. This I'm not looking. I mean, when I was looking for that meditation, never show up. So now it's like, okay, I'll just go with the flow.
Wow.
I just go with the flow. And we have received signs like little, like, I don't know, like I know I follow a lot of things about babies, but after Eric, I kind of like delete all those accounts, but I couldn't because I couldn't see babies. But then I started, then the name Olivia came, appears all the time. Like it's so funny because that's a name that we decided before we knew it was a boy. We decided if it was going to be a girl, it was going to be Olivia. So every time that we see something like that, okay, he's telling us. And we started to connect with this little baby being. We like to call her Olivia, but I mean, we are not sure. But we started to connect it with this energy. And then all of a sudden, I felt like another energy. I don't know how to explain it. I mean, you understand me, because it's not something.
I hope so.
It's not something that you can understand. It's something that you can feel. It's an experience that you can feel. And it was really funny because last year before I met you, we were so curious about like, okay, let's have a reading, because we've never been to a medium before. Like we knew about it, but we never went to one session, and it was hard to find a medium that we could trust, that it was going to
That's a big one.
actually going to tell us something. And we were looking, and it was around like at the end of the year, so everyone was booked, or until the next year. So we stopped on that. So we said, look, okay, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen at some point. And then I'm in this group for parents that they lost a baby, and this friend of mine sent me the link that it was going to be a session with a medium, and if I want to connect. And I was like, okay, let's connect to that. And this lady starts telling something about a baby, a little baby, a little one. She mentioned something about a little one. I think he was gone like really, really little, like in the recent months, like 4 to 5 months. And I was like, oh my gosh, is this for real? and I felt my heart pumping so fast, and it was like, I think it's my son. So when I jumped, when I raised the hand, and it's like, okay, I think it's my son. I don't know. So they unmute me, and we start talking, and it was him.
Mm.
And then she's like, "Do you have another child?" And I was like, "No, I don't." And then she was like, "Okay," because I feel another child, like another energy. And and she asked, "Is this a girl?" And I was like, "I mean, I don't know."
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I feel it's a girl, but I don't know. And everything that she said, it was accurate, and it was a really beautiful reading. And every time that I listen to it, because it's recorded, it's really beautiful. It gives you the trust. I mean, it's beautiful to go to mediums, because when you are new on this, like, it's hard to trust yourself. It's you question, am I imagining this? Maybe it's just a coincidence. So you want to, like, validation, especially at the beginning of the journey. You want validation.
I call it mediumship therapy.
Yeah, exactly. Mediumship therapy.
Yeah, it could be very therapeutic. Even 1 or 2 sessions, people feel very transformed.
Yes, exactly.
But then you got to do your work, right? It's like you have to then continue to be that medium.
Exactly. So I can tell you, I'm not gonna tell the parents that have been through this experience that it's going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. And especially at the beginning, I just wanted to hear from him. I just wanted to have a sign. Like, every time I wanted to have a sign. At some point, it's not like you don't want the signs anymore, but you just trust he's come. They never leave. They never leave. And we have seen him in helping us, like, it was with a promotion that he got last year. We can truly believe that it was him helping him to get that. I truly believe it's him doing all this work. And of course, is the universe also working on that? Of course, there's like I'm not saying Eric is like the higher power of all. I'm not saying that, but I know he is well connected.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. He's working, of course, he's working with you, and he could have an omnipresence to him. It doesn't matter. You get to tune into that. I feel like what I call that is like our ancestors, even though it sounds weird to say that, but I feel like our immediate kind of connection in our family, it's a very trusting energy. They're like they're on your side. It's very guardian energy. Sometimes when we go into other realms of energy, it's a little more hesitant because there's not like there's been a DNA connection, right? I mean, and then there's some power in that. And so, you're onto something in that space where there is that ongoing relationship. And you may even feel, as you're both changing, even Eric's energy will change. Doesn't mean he's gone, because this is where people freak out. It just means you're all evolving together, and what a beautiful thing. You're kind of growing up together in a way, right? But it's not, it's not in this timeline the way, of course, the envision was, but it's, again, you're still, in relationship in some way, and you get to move in and out of it, right? And so go ahead. You were saying, so you're in this journey, and then, holding energy for the next. And it must feel good, though, to feel okay, there's other beings, there's probably even more than two, maybe two at the most. I don't know, I'm kind of picking up on. And so that would be like 3 children. You have 3 children, of course, one is in light body, but you get to see what unfolds around that. You get to kind of see through the experience, as you said. And how I really enjoyed, like, both of you speaking about how just your own connection as a couple, like, you do meditations together, right? You were sharing, and then you do your own thing, and then you're kind of, maybe coming together with your little notes of like how you're like, oh, what about this or that, or like what's your connection. I know with my husband, when we were in pregnancy, he had a lot of dreams. He's like, oh yeah, I dreamt about baby, and I was like, oh, I had a few dreams, but I wasn't much of a dreamer. I was all like tell me now. I'm a daydreamer. Like,
Yeah.
speak to me, communicate to me. But that's just where I was at with it. And so it's really nice to see that everybody has their own way. And you have outside signs. You get a lot of it. Sounds like you have internal meditative, like I call it like daydreaming, like that internal connection of telepathy or feeling or sense, or even it sounds like you were saying knowing, like that sense of knowing and building on the knowing, right? That's the power in it, is building on the energy of where you're at and then seeing more of what comes next.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And at some point, I'm not gonna say that you don't need the signs, because you need them. I mean, it's like
Yeah.
I always tell to him, I'm your mom, so I will always gonna want to know about
Mm,
you. Like,
yeah.
I know you are doing your own thing, but I'm still gonna need, like, once in a while, hey mom, I'm here, I'm okay. So I think it's our way of communicating with him. It's it's our way to keep the relationship. And I I told him at the beginning of this journey, if this is what I have, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna build this relationship with you, even though I cannot hold you, I cannot see you all the time. Um, it's hard for me to dream on him. I only have one dream with
Mm.
him, and after he died. And after that, never. But I feel his energy.
Yeah,
uh,
are you okay with that? I'm gonna grab some cards here for you guys. Are you okay with that? Like that you don't have dreams?
uh I
Because you
think
seem a little like bummed about it. You're like,
yeah,
well,
yeah, I dream more about him. I mean, but I also understand that every child is different. I feel like Eric is more like, okay, I'm going straight to the point.
He's like,
Done.
I don't want to show up in your dreams, mom. Like, come on, I'm gonna tell you to your face.
Exactly.
'Cause
Yeah.
I feel like the things with dreams is, from my perception of having dreamt of ancestors or my current family, I feel like they came to me a lot in the beginning through dreams because I think I needed that. Do you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
there's a lot of, when you pass away as an older age, there's a lot of story in between that, a lot of stuff, right? And so it's like I think the dream was the only way we can communicate, because I was like, I don't know about this, right? And so I would look at it as not as a defeat, but as like, okay, this is our connection. And if it wants to come in that way, it doesn't mean you have to dream it that way. But I don't dream about them as much as I did in the beginning because I really needed them. I needed them to step forward into the space I was in that was so active and busy in my earth life. I had a newborn at the time, an infant at the time, and then my family and work, and I was like, where's my like how are we communicating? It was hard to find a space where the quiet was, and so it's like, okay, we're just going to talk to you in your dreams, Kelly. And I was like, okay, but again, don't beat yourself up over it, and just kind of, okay, and you're open to receiving it, which is great, right? You're like, hey, I'm here, but we'll see what happens.
Exactly.
But I'm gonna, yeah,
Oh,
go ahead.
sorry. I was
Sorry.
gonna say, for new parents that are in this
Yeah,
journey, I think, like, don't compare. Every sign,
yeah,
every child is different. I mean, I remember at the beginning, I was like, but my child is not like this. Maybe I'm
mm,
crazy. Maybe I'm just me.
yeah,
And it's not like that. It's just like everyone. They're gonna have similar things, but
yeah.
everyone is different.
Yeah, and everybody thinks they're like, "Oh, am I imagining this? Is this not real?" And we've talked about that. We've talked about in more extent, because there's so much energy around that. It's just the way the world is and what our perceptions are. But when we get to sit, of course, as you know, in the quiet, there's like a whole world. I mean, I still kind of joke and say, "Well, maybe everything's my imagination," because it actually feels like it is.
Yeah.
That's how I compare it. So when I see things or know things, or I'm just like randomly if I put people in my head and their body, I just start seeing things. I'm like, well, I'm just making it up. And then I say what I see, and they're like, no, that's actually happening in my body. I'm like, oh. So I'm like, what's the difference between imagination then and not? Like, it's hard to know. It really is. But I want to pull you some cards. People will be able to see on the on the YouTube, but you won't be able to see in the podcast, but you'll be able to hear it. I always love our cards, Spirit Baby Oracle cards. Do you have a deck of these? I can't remember. You did or no?
No, I don't. I will
Okay.
order ones. Yeah.
Well, you can't because they're right now not available. I probably shouldn't say that.
Oh,
They're in the middle of being printed, and we'll get you we'll get
okay.
you your own deck. Yeah, I'll get you your own deck
Aware of
when
that.
it comes back into print. We're just taking a little temporary break here. Trying to find better printers, really. That's what I'm struggling with. But let me pull both of you cards. Mama card, we'll do, how about we'll do one from Eric and one from Next Baby that's gonna be wanting to come. Oh, and this one was, that one was turned upside down. I love that. So Eric says, I whisper, Mom, to your healing heart. I trust our communication together.
Yeah.
Confirmation, trusting your connection in your heart. And then Next Baby energy is literally was upside down in the whole deck. I love that. You are an empath. Listen to your energy of sensing and feeling. So this baby being wants you to feel and use your empathic sense and just be in communication with. And so daddy energy now, Eric wants you to know. Okay, and then baby being. So your two cards are I communicate. Eric says, I communicate through spiritual messages such as songs, inner sounds, vibrations, and musical tones. So sound and music can be a form of communication. So like listening to meditation, or even if you're playing an instrument, even if you're singing, there's a frequency in the communication of music. The next one is I'm psychic and sensitive, child of light. I communicate with you in fun and joyful ways. So next baby is just fun and joyful communication, psychic and sensitive. And you don't have to do anything about that. There's no communication in there. You have to do something. To me, I feel like it's more of just an affirmation of who I am. Let me get another card on top of that. Here's a communication card. We'll make you do some homework. I communicate with you through journaling, write and be open to spiritual messages. So even, the next baby energy, yeah, don't be scared to write a poem or a letter, write something down to baby being. That could be hard at times, but just be open and see where that goes.
Yeah, right. That's
That
good.
was nice. I wasn't expecting to do those cards, but here we are, we did them.
Yeah.
But I want to thank you both for joining in this space to talk about your journey. Took so much heart and expression. I feel like even Eric is like he's orchestrating things yet again. And of course, I want to dedicate this podcast episode to him and his spirit and his love that he continues to. I feel like he continues to. This episode continues to just spread like light all around the globe to those that are seekers, that are in need of love and healing, that understand their journey is different, but understand where you're coming from. And that there's, it's continuing to always, life comes and we have to show up in our hearts so full of like light, right? And fear. And yet, fear's in there too. We're not going to leave that out, but just so much blazing light. I feel like this Eric blazing light energy. And when you were talking before, the room light was changing. I don't know if you saw that. I was like, what's happening? It was like maybe sun was coming, but it was so bright. I'm so curious to see how it translates on the I thought I saw rainbow and then bright. And I was like, am I hallucinating? I'm like, do I see rainbow? And then I just was bright when you were talking, but it was like so interesting and sync with your talk. I was like, I don't know if you noticed that in the background there. It was like going in and out.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, he likes to play with the lights. I even found like
Yeah.
when I look at my phone, like there are some ways that the lights are really bright.
Yeah. Look, it's happening again as you're talking about it. How fascinating that is.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, look at that. I can see that
Oh,
around.
yeah. All of a sudden it's like glowing. Like, what's happening?
That's true. Yeah, he does those kind of things.
Well, thank you again for being here. And I want to thank everybody for joining this episode 136, April 2022. And of course, if you like my podcast, please leave reviews, subscribe. Let's see. Thank you again. Oh, Sacred Communication, a Spirit Baby journal. Come check that out. And Spirit Baby Oracle cards, answers from Spirit Baby. Gonna be back in print soon. Of course, I have services. And I work with people all around the world, private one-on-one, online classes, programs, VIP retreats, and you can find that at spiritbabymedium.com. Thanks again, you two, for joining.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. It was our pleasure.